All we know so far about typing commands into the Unix shell is that essentially the entire command is taken as the program to start. The entire line of text that we take is interpreted by the shell as something to do with the program that we're trying to start. Now I want to be very precise about that, because there is a very strict syntax to the text that you are allowed to type in on a Unix shell command line. So let's find out exactly what that syntax is. It looks like this. At a dollar prompt, you can type in at least one thing, but several things under certain circumstances. The very first thing on the command line, which is not optional, is the name of the program that you're trying to run, the name of the command that you're trying to start. For some programs that's enough, you don't need to type anything else, but you can also then type some options and some arguments. And now we're going to have a look at what the options and arguments actually are. So, prog name, first, is the name of the program you wish to run, such as ls or cal or uname or password or whatever it is. It's a simple one-word thing. There are no spaces in there. Next, we have some options. Now these are single letters, a single letter option such as A. All options are prefixed by a dash, or a minus sign if you like, and any option that you specify modifies the behavior of the program that you're running. Options are, as the name would suggest, optional, meaning the program will still run if you don't provide any options, but using the options will modify the behavior of that program. So you could type in, instead of just typing ls, you could type in ls space -a. Finally, also optional are some arguments. These are words or text that you can type in on the command line, separated by spaces or tabs. Every space or tab that you type in on the command line separates one argument from the next. And the arguments that you provide gives the program the information that it needs to perform whatever task you're trying to get it to perform. An argument might be, for example, the name of a file or the name of a directory, or a year number, like in cal. The 2001 was an argument, whereas the word cal was the program name. And when we used, for example, uname, we tried it with the -a option. The -a was an option, it wasn't an argument. Some programs require that you provide arguments, and some do not. Cal, for example, does not require any arguments, but it will accept some if you give it to them. So what's the difference between an option and an argument? Well, options are single letters, and they're prefixed by a dash, and they come before the arguments. Arguments can be of any length, and they come last on the command line. Let's look into that in a little more detail, some notes about all that. It is absolutely imperative that the name of the program be first on the command line. It's not possible to type the arguments or the options first. In particular, it is not simply possible to type in the name of a document that you're trying to open. You can't just type in accounts.doc. The shell would not know what to do with that. Incidentally, if you're familiar with Windows systems, Windows has enunciation. Unix does not. If you don't know what that means, don't worry. So it's very particular about the name of the thing that you can type in first. The thing that you type must be the name of a binary program or an executable text script. Nothing else will run. Well, actually, that's not quite true. There is one other thing that will run, and that is an internal shell built-in command, but we won't worry about those just for the moment. So basically the name of a program. Next, uppercase, lowercase is significant. Lowercase ls is very different from uppercase ls. If you wanted to run the ls program and you type in capital L, capital S, it will not do what you want. It will try and find a program called capital L, capital S, and if there is one, it will run it, and if there isn't one, it will say, I don't know what you're talking about, or something to that effect. When specifying the name of the program name, it is also possible to specify where that program is, if you know how to do that. If you don't know how to do that, you'll find out in the next chapter. For example, you can preface ls by /bin/ls, which says that I want you to run the version of ls that is sitting in the /bin directory. Or you could say /myscript, which means please look for a file called myscript in the current directory only. Don't look anywhere else for it. As to where the shell looks to find the programs that you type in, well, we'll look at that in one of the last chapters. It is very important that you use spaces between the various parts of the command line. If you put in, say, ls-la without putting ls space -la, it would not run. Or cd/ instead of cd space /. That again will not run. cd/ incidentally will run in DOS, in command.com, but it will not run in the Unix shell. When you're specifying options, you can specify them in a variety of ways. All of the following are synonymous. You can say, for example, ls-lax, which is exactly the same as saying I want 3 particular options to be included in my running of the ls program, the -l option, the -a option, and the -x option. You can specify them all together with one minus sign, or you can break them up. Make sure you separate them by spaces. Or you can combine one or two of them at once. In the third example I've got there, ls space -ax space -l. All of those 3 will work exactly the same way. You might like to take a moment and prove that to yourself by typing in those 3 commands on the Unix command line in front of you. Okay, well that's about it for command syntax. Let's look at now some little notes on how to correct things if you type some things in wrong.